show is on. Start your engines.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new season of the European Truck Racing Championship digital version. We're back, we're bigger and better than ever before with a bigger grid, with some new trucks, some new names and of course some new colour schemes to get used to as well. The format, if you watched last year's championship, you'll be familiar with. We have two races to look forward to. The first one, we'll have a grid based on the results of Superpole, which is currently underway. And then, of course, you take the result of that race, you reverse the top 8 finishers. That gives you the grid for race 2. And that is always a very spectacular race indeed, especially the first couple of corners as you've got people trying to carve their way through from the back. And with a bigger grid this year, mistakes are going to be punished. Norbert Kish was the man to beat last year. On his way to winning the championship, he took 10 victories, and you won't be surprised to know that he is the man that is fastest thus far in Superpole. It is the Hungaroring at which we start for the second year of our digital version of the European Truck Racing Championship, the ETRC Digital Racing Challenge. 8 races, 4 events, so we have the Hungaroring, the Nürburgring, then Le Mans and then Jarama. And the grand final will pit the 10 best sim racers against the 10 best real world drivers. So it is Norbert Kish who is currently the fastest, but amongst the newcomers that we have to the ETRC Digital Racing Challenge this year, Manuel Alvarez is currently second fastest. And Manuel Alvarez, who only started really in truck racing last year, he's done a bit of circuit racing in the Spanish Clio Cup as well. He could be a real dark horse. Other names you'll be familiar with, the likes of Sasha Lentz. Lucas Hahn is back for, we hope, a full season. There he is going through, number 22. Lucas Hahn is currently to be found third fastest. Kish, Alvarez and Hahn, the order. And then fourth is another of the newcomers, Marco Klingelhoefer, in the almost Rothmans liveried rig that he has, and he too I think is going to be one to watch as we get through these opening 2 races. The Iveco of Klingelhoefer will be certainly competitive, that is for sure. Lucas Hahn then, who comes from a good racing family, making his way then now towards the end of the lap. Of course, grandfather the late Konrad Hahn, truck racing champion, his father Jochen Hahn, innumerable European truck racing champion. Now the second generation racer here, Sasha Lentz. Now he was a race winner in the digital championship last year. He's only 5th quickest though in Superpole at the moment. So let's see what he can do now as he makes the run up towards the end of the lap out of turn 16. That long climb up the hill, round the hairpin, onto the pit straight. You need to be good through this section, because not only does it determine the lap time, but also it tees you up for the start of the next lap. Drop down towards the hairpin. Brake hard into the turn 1 hairpin. There's a little kink at turn 2 before you really start to plunge downhill. So it is Kish now from Hahn, Alvarez, Klingelhoefer, but Lentz is still only 5th fastest right now. So Sasha Lentz drops downhill. There going through is 66, which is Jonathan Andre. Now he again was a driver who made quite an impact last year. Remember that he took over the Lion Truck Racing team's MAN from Anthony Janiak, and although he wasn't a race winner, he was a regular on the podium. He kind of came in midway through the season as lockdowns eased and people had to go back to the real world jobs, including for Anthony Janiak running his kart centre. So Jonathan Andre took over. And I think with the lessons learned from last year, he could be very competitive indeed. So he's certainly one to watch here. Right now, Jonathan Andre is 6th fastest aboard number 66, the MAN. And there we have Theo Calve going through in the Bagheera Racing Freightliner. The Bagheera squad, as ever, mainstay of European track racing. And remember that Theo Calve was a race winner in the ETRC Digital Racing Challenge last season. Comes from good track racing pedigree, of course, with his father Fabien Calve, track racer, track racing champion, journalist, organiser, broadcaster, you name it. And up towards the timing line comes Theo Calve. Now, he's only 8th fastest at the moment, so Theo Calve you would expect to go a little bit better than this. Does he improve? Doesn't look like it on that lap, sad to say. Ahead of him in terms of time is another of the newcomers, Jose Villa. And you've also got the Spanish driver battling for a time against Bjorn Tijhuis right now, who is another driver back for a second season. So there is Calve downhill. 1 or 2 have decided that they have done as much as they can do, which now includes heading for the pit lane out of the session. Norbert Kish remains on that graphic as the fastest, but the flag now for pretty much everybody is going to determine their arrival into the pit lane. Lucas Hahn is being shown on one of the timing pages as having got himself to the top, but I'm not convinced that that is a credible lap time, so we'll ignore that. Norbert Kish is the fastest currently then, from Alvarez, Hahn, Lentz, Andre, Villa, Tijhuis, Calve, and then Henry Tijhuis, who's another driver we welcome to the series full time. He's been an occasional racer, but it's good to have him now within this championship. He, I think, could be another man to watch. Now, why has Alvarez been dumped down to the foot of the times? Possibly for overspeeding, possibly for a penalty. Either way, he has been put to the bottom of the times. So Kish versus Hahn, it would appear to be at the top. And with most drivers, I think, now having served a lap time, the rigs will head to the pit lane and the drivers will reset their servers ready to go. There is Bjorn Tijhuis in the Kreeft team Scania. And Theo Calve is another driver that notice has fallen a long way down the order. So too now Sasha Lentz. So I think there's some shuffling to be done as the race control team work their way through all of this, but we'll get the grid confirmed, ready to go racing very shortly. So Norbert Kish on home soil, topping the times provisionally at the end of that session. And you can see as graphic updates that Klingelhoefer briefly put to second ahead of Hahn, another of the newcomers that we have this year, Ivan Rodriguez, the Portuguese driver. However, as I say, all of this will be confirmed before we get into the first race, which will be coming up very shortly indeed. Norbert Kish very much starts as the favourite, given how well he went within the equivalent championship last year. But I do think that with the lessons learned from last season, the opposition is going to be an awful lot closer to him. For example, one name we haven't really touched on yet, Antonio Alberthetti, for example, who was a complete newcomer to sim racing this time last year. He got better and better and better, more and more competitive, and did bag a podium right at the end of the digital season. So what can he do here, I wonder, to get himself into the mix once we go racing? And that'll be coming up within a few minutes' time. So race one, we'll be heading to the grid just before the hour. So we've got 10 minutes or so before the trucks blast off. We'll have a look back at the Superpole order once that is confirmed. There will be the official truck, the Ford F-Max lap as well, before we get the pace lap underway. The pace track, the Iveco, will lead them around. The race is, remember, 25 minutes plus a lap. Now, that 25 minutes includes the pace lap. So put on, if you like, the regulation lap at the end. And it all balances out over the course of those 25 minutes, which around here, we're expecting to be about 11 laps. And Norbert Kish, the man to beat. So is Norbert Kish then with a 2 minutes 29.5 going to be good enough to be on pole position? Well, race control will have a look to make sure that there's been no track limit abuses, to make sure that people haven't been over speeding, and then we'll have that grid confirmed ready for the first of our two races this evening from the Hungaroring. The next stop being the Nürburgring, then to Le Mans, then to Jarama, as we build up for that grand final. Points you score as ever within the top 10. It's the same scoring for this ETRC digital racing challenge that we have in the FIA European Track Racing Championship. In other words, 20 points for a win, and it goes down to 1 point for 10th place. And it's the same scoring in each race. If you think to the real world championship, there's that slightly reduced scoring system for the reverse grid race. Doesn't apply in the digital world. So it's the same scoring system for both races, which makes things pretty simple and easy to follow. So who do we have in terms of an entry for this year? Well, Norbert Kish starts as number one. He's the reigning champion. And of course, in the real world, he has been hugely successful as well, because he was the ETRC champion back in 2014, 2015 and 2018. So Norbert Kish comes here as a man to watch. But Manuel Alvarez will be against him. This is a quick look at Norbert Kish's rig, entered by the Revesh TRT truck racing team, and the MAN that effectively was built for the championship last year, both real and digital, really, because it was a whole new venture after 3 or 4 years of mixed results at Tankpurführungsfansig for Norbert Kish. So the decision was taken to create a whole new team and with an MAN, and it was a late start, of course, before we had the limited races that the championship season allowed us to have, but the result in the digital world was massively successful. 23 is Antonio Alberthetti's MAN. Antonio Alberthetti, who drives for the T-Sport Bernal squad. And remember that Antonio Alberthetti is another driver who comes here with huge success in the real world. Champion in 05, in 06 and in 2010. And runner-up as recently as 2019. So the T-Sport Bernal rig, which is that amalgamation of the British T-Sport squad and of Lutz Bernau's team, the MAN, is certainly, again, a truck very capable of being up at the front. There, number 8 is that of Manuel Alvarez. Manuel Alvarez comes from the Spanish Truck Racing Championship, and that's one of the other points to make about this. We don't just have drivers from the FIA ETRC, we have them from the Spanish Championship, the Dutch, and the French Championship coming into the ETRC Digital Racing Challenge this year. Manuel Alvarez then with the Mercedes-Benz. Number 12 is the French driver Lucas Rival, and he is from the French series, having only really come back in 2019, and the Team AMR Renault, as befits a good French driver, should be another one right up at the pointy end, I think, as you get towards the end of the season with a bit more sim experience. But of course, when you talk about some of the younger drivers, they might have more sim racing experience than real world experience these days. And we'll come across one or two who've been very busy across different sim championships over the previous lockdown months. Lucas Rival, then, a new driver to the ETRC Digital Racing Challenge, and certainly one to watch in the Team AMR Renault. Welcome back. Henry Tiehaus, who drives number 15, the Team EK truck race Scania. And Henry Tiehaus, his brother Björn, is on the grid as well. Will be a driver possibly in midfield, but I think you can anticipate that he'll be in the thick of the battles as we go through the course of the season. Certainly a driver well worth keeping an eye to. And although the Scania is not the most modern of trucks, it is a reliable beast. And in the digital world, see how it fares. Henry Tiehaus did not do too many races last year, and he hasn't done too many real-world races either. But great enthusiast, and it's good to have him on the grid. And what about this driver? Marco Klingelhoefer is new not only to the championship, but almost to truck racing in general. His father, a truck driver, and so as a 2-year-old, Marco was taken to the German Truck Grand Prix at the Nürburgring, fell in love with the sport, did a bit of karting, but always wanted to race trucks. Founded the Maddox team last year. Couldn't go real world racing, of course, but has done a lot of sim racing in that lockdown year. And welcome back to the Bugera Racing Squad, the Freightliner in the hands of Theo Calvé. It is the lone Freightliner that we have, certainly for the first 2 races. But Theo Calvé, who I was thinking about earlier on, only began back in 2017 at Nogaro, came off motocross bikes into truck racing, made his ETRC debut at the Nürburgring, having dashed across from his baccalaureate exams, got behind the wheel and was a race winner twice, once at Jarama, once at the Nürburgring in the ETRC Digital Series last year. So Theo Calvé, although his qualifying wasn't fantastic, I think certainly could be a driver worth keeping an eye to as this evening goes on. So could this man as well. 22 is Lucas Hahn in the Hahn Racing Iveco, 3rd generation racer then. Debuted in real-world events at the 2019 German Truck Grand Prix in the Mittelrhein Cup, not in the European events, but in the Mittelrhein Cup that was the catch-all that included the British series and drivers from Germany and from Holland and France, and he was on the podium across all the races. So certainly, just like Dad, just like his late grandfather, lots of ability, and drove in some of the races within the limited Real World Championship last year. So Lucas Hahn, again, one to watch, that's for sure. Now, number 25, Pedro Marco, who has raced in French and Spanish championship events, went well at Nogaro last year, has raced with the European series on occasions, normally his home events, to be fair to him. But Pedro Marco drives number 25. He's another of the drivers from the Spanish Championship in the Murdat Racing Truck entered MAN. So the Mercia Truck Racing squad operating that rig, and another driver who was a winner last year in the digital competition. Sasha Lentz, then, the 33-year-old German driver, came from occasional British and European events and the Mittelrhein Cup outings into the European Championship, really full-time in 2011, and has got better and better and better over the years. He was the runner-up in the digital championship last year. He had his first real world win back in 2018. That was at Misano. And Sasha Lentz, you can guarantee, will be taking the battle to Norbert Kish this evening, that's for sure. In terms of his qualifying, 5th at the end of the session. 51 is Bjorn Teihaus in the DAF that he will drive in the opening rounds of the championship, the truck racing team Kreeft entry. He's another from the Dutch Truck Racing Series, although we do see him on occasions within the FIA ETRC. But as I say, you've got the European, the Spanish, the French and the Dutch championships all bringing drivers to the table this evening. And there's, if you like, the different classes within the overall championship to keep an eye to as well. So we can identify who is doing better out of each of these different series as we go through the races. Number 66, Jonathan Andre, and the charismatic Lion Truck Racing entered MAN. The team manager of the Real World squad took over from Anthony Janiak within the digital competition last year, and is certainly going to be a driver capable, I think, of upsetting the order during the course of this year's championship, because he's learnt quite a bit on the back of last season and looking to try and put that into good effect and see whether a maiden victory can come his way. Aboard 81 is the Dutch driver Ferry Van Drunen, who comes from good racing stock because his father Piet was a racer, his brother Tim has raced, and now Ferry Van Drunen, who has been a Scania regular for a number of seasons, initially with a rather elderly bonneted version, but now with a cab over Scania. It's his debut in the ETRC Digital Racing Challenge, and he's a very welcome newcomer to the grid. Number 94 is Ivan Rodrigues. The Rodrigues name is very familiar within Portuguese truck racing. This is a different branch of the family, but Ivan Rodrigues' father was president of the VTR team from 02 to 12, and then the Luxo Sport squad, so perhaps inevitable that Ivan Rodriguez himself would come into truck racing. Only began in 2019, but was on pole at Le Mans that year. He has got a lot of sim racing experience, so is that going to stand him in good stead over the course of this championship? Let's find out, because he joins the grid tonight. Number 99 is Jose Villa, another of the Spanish championship racers. His father raced in trucks. Jose himself has raced not only in trucks but in endurance saloon car races, so he's done quite a lot of miles in a short space of time, and has done sim racing not only in trucks but in Renault Clios and also in the Porsche Super Cup. So sim racing experience he has in abundance. So that gives you a flavour of who we can look forward to seeing once we go on track this evening. Yes, Norbert Kish, I could perhaps expect will be the driver to beat, but all will be revealed as we are set to go racing. A bigger entry, new championship, new drivers, and it is all looking good. But before we do go racing, we will have our regular Ford F-Max lap, the official track of the ETRC Digital Racing Challenge. So, the Hungarian Circuit, 4.381 kilometres long, 16 corners, 2 races of 25 minutes plus 1 lap each. And that 25 minutes, just to recap, of course, includes the pace lap. The drivers then will reset. Just to make the point about all of this as well, this isn't some ragamuffin, have a bit of fun when you get back from the pub kind of championship. MSB license. Rolf Werner is the real world clerk of the course, and he is the clerk of the course for the digital series as well. And there you can see the drivers getting themselves set, ready for the start of the race. Now, Norbert Kish has been put, by the look of it, into pole position. I have to confess that the way they're lining up does not totally correspond with a page on the timing screen. However, we will await confirmation at grid as the trucks scroll away from the line very shortly. And at the back of it, you can see there number 12, Lucas Rivals, also 81, which is the Dutch driver new to the series, Ferry Van Drunen. Everybody set to go. So once they leave the line behind the pace track, that is the start of the 25 minutes. But that lap, of course, is then going to be, if you like, put back on with the regulation at the very end. So as the trucks set off very shortly, we get set for our first race of the ETRC Digital Racing Challenge. So Norbert Kish, reigning champion, eager to do well as ever, of course, on what is effectively home soil, virtual or otherwise, and in real world Hungaroring events. Of course, there's always a huge number of people out in force to cheer him on. And Norbert Kish, don't forget, came from sim racing before he went into real world racing. He was a very good virtual racer, and then came into car racing, initially driving within the Opel Astra Cup, Hungarian Clio champion. He then raced in the Hungarian Seat Championship, won that twice. Then he won the Suzuki Swift Championship, and he will start then on pole position, looking at that grid, with, by the look of it, Manuel Alvarez being given second on the grid. As we were saying during the course of Superpole, times were coming and going a little bit. But we've now got, I think, everybody just about good to go. So looking down from the rear of the grid, as soon as all the drivers are in the server, so race control can release everybody. They'll do that formation lap, and then we'll be in business. The Hungaroring, never the easiest of circuits at which to overtake around. You'll see more and more of the trucks arriving on the grid. And of course, if you take more curb than you should, so race control will count down upon you for that as well. So as we saw last year, if they're not happy with driving standards, particularly at the start of race 2 and contact at the start of some of the races, then they'll red flag it and start again, so that people aren't overly disadvantaged. So this is taken very seriously indeed. Proper real-world race officials looking at this just as they would real-world racing. So the server pretty much sorted, and we will have the trucks released very shortly as the red lights will go out. Pace track accelerates away, and so the 25-minute countdown now begins. Norbert Kish is the driver on pole position then, as the trucks now swarm their way down towards that first corner. It is the Mercedes of Alvarez that lines up alongside Hahn for third on the grid. Sasha Lentz fourth, Jonathan Andre it is fifth, and Jose Villa lining up for sixth on the grid. So some different names, which is good to see up at the front of it. Sasha Lentz will be a driver, I think, in a big hurry. You've got Theo Calve starting from 8th on the grid. So let's see what he is going to be able to do as the field there works its way down the hill. This is the long run from turn 4, and then this little climb. There's the slight kink at 5, then you go left at 6, short straight, and another of the Hungaroring hairpins that loops you around from turn 7 up to the first of the chicanes, the flick through 8 and 9, speed builds, and then you're into the second half of the lap. On board from the middle of the pack, you can see what the view is like. Coming up towards that chicane through which the drivers flick. Hard braking first of all, but then you've got that right and the left. There is the pole man, Norbert Kish, with Manuel Alvarez lining up with him at the front of the grid. So Norbert Kish, where he was so many times last year, 10 times a victor. Let's see what he's going to be able to do from here as this 15-strong entry turns then now down towards turn 14 into the so-called stadium. And of course, this a very important part of the lap, because if you are wrong through here, then you compromise your speed all the way through turn 16, which is that climb up the hill. Jose Villa, number 99, to say, one to watch with his MAN. Alvarez there lining up in the outside of the front row. You've got Hahn to start third, Andre to start fifth. And the trucks then now come towards turn 16. This time around, of course, the pace truck will go for the pit lane. We are set to go racing. It is race 1 of the new season of the ETRC Digital Racing Challenge. Track Racing 2021 style is going to be virtual, at least to begin with, but it's going to be dramatic, that is for sure. The clock has started. It's 25 minutes plus a lap, and we go racing then as the rigs rumble their way down towards turn one. Good getaway by Lentz, who pulls from the outside there to try to make a move down towards the hairpin. It is Norbert Kish then who leads pack as they drop down towards turn one. Right on his tail is Hahn. Hahn looks to the outside line. Is he going to be able to find a way through? No, he's not. Has to slot back in behind as they wriggle their way now out of the hairpin to drop down the hill. Bit of tail wagging there, I think, from Alvarez, and a bit of tail wagging too from Calvé, who finds himself on the grass. Lentz is all sideways, and there's somebody in the wall in the background as well. So Kish leads, Hahn second, gap opening up to third, Alvarez fourth is Lentz. They drop downhill for the first time. Calvé gets forced out wide by Alberthetti on the inside of him. Number 15 gaining ground is Henry Tyhouse on the inside line there as well. And there, 81 at the back, which is Ferry Van Drunen, making a bit of progress as best he can. So Calvé going backwards rather than forwards. 51 through his Bjorn Tyhouse as the rigs now go uphill for the first time. Jonathan Andre looking for a way past Jose Villa, but it is Kiss from Hahn, and those two getting away just a little at the moment. Through they turn then out of the chicane. So Norbert Kish leads the pack coming out of turns 8 and 9 on towards 10, 11. The next quick flick sequence then, and it is Hahn trying to stay with him as best he can. Sasha Lentz under attack right now because he's got there Jose Villa right up behind him, and then Sasha Lentz tries to defend as they come through. So Lentz under attack. There's Alvarez to throw into this leading gaggle as well as we look back then now. The fight going on for second and third places. Sasha Lentz trying to creep up under braking, but he's bringing a whole gaggle of them in a long, long line right there with him. Those through they come. Norbert Kish, race leader. Second is Hahn. And there, third, fourth, fifth, all the yellow perils swarming around Lentz. They come up towards the end of the lap. Over the timing line. Kish it is that leads the way then. Second is Hahn. Third, Alvarez. Fourth is Lentz. Fifth, it is Villa. And sixth is Andre as they come through at the end of the first proper racing lap. There is the order. So Kish from Hahn, the margin between them, 1.4 seconds then. Jonathan Andre, you're riding on board with. He's down in sixth place. They come through turn one. So Jonathan Andre trying now to make some progress. He's got Tyhouse in seventh. Alberthetti is eighth. Calvé ninth. Then it's Henry Tyhouse in 10th spot. Marco Klingelhoefer down in 15th. He, I think, was the one that went off the road on that opening lap of the race. So Klingelhoefer trying to fight back here. Jonathan Andre hustles on. See what he can do in terms of catching the opposition. Van Drunen at the back of the pack, caught, you can see, by the recovering Klingelhoefer. So there goes through Jonathan Andre. Let's see what he can do about Jose Villa up front. Manuel Alvarez, you've got to say, he's doing a very good job indeed. New to the category. He's in third and staying with Hahn, who is starting now to drop back a little bit from Norbert Kish then. The Kish it is, the race leader, and starting to edge away. 2 laps in the book, the first one of course being the pace lap, but he's had 1 rating lap and he's building that cushion. It's up already to 2 seconds now. Hahn second, Alvarez running in third, Lentz fourth, Villa fifth, Andre sixth, but you can see the way the gap is widening between the top 2. Norbert Kish looking ever stronger as he gets away. So then the European truck racing champion, be it real or digital, comes over the line. And right on board now with Manuel Alvarez in third place. Is he getting close enough to Hahn to attack them? The Mercedes inching up onto the back of the Iveco. And he closes as they go into turn one, but it's a little bit ragged from both of them. That does not give Alvarez really much of a chance to challenge on the drop downhill. So Hahn consolidates the place, hangs on a second. There is Alvarez in that third place. Now Sasha Lentz fourth, doing his level best to close. What he really needs is for those two ahead to get themselves together, to start squabbling, to delay each other. Then he can join the mix. So Norbert Kish it is then, race leader. And that margin starting to increase all the time over Lucas Hahn in that second spot. Alvarez third, Lentz, Villa, Andre. That's the order. Now, what progress is Klingelhoefer making? He's gained one place. He's up now into 14th spot at the expense of Van Drunen. Remember, Klingelhoefer coming back into the race effectively after going off the road early on, doing a little bit of damage, but now fighting back as they're going through is Manuel Alvarez in third place. There is Klingelhoefer. He is now charging on in pursuit of number 12, Lucas Rivalds, another of the newcomers to the championship for this 2021 season. Through the chicane, Rival in the Renault. And there, Klingelhoefer in that pseudo-Rothmans colour scheme, powering his way through that turn 10-11 sequence. So Kish to Hahn to Alvarez, 1, 2 and 3, and the gap has come right down, as you see, between second and third. So now Manuel Alvarez fancying his chances here, the Mercedes right onto the back of the Iveco. Is this going to be an opportunity to attack? Look, as they come now out of turn 16 up towards the completion of the lap. We've got 14 minutes plus the regulation lap still to run. Hahn goes through, Alvarez behind him. And as they break the timing beam, we're talking tenths between them. That is all. Fourth is Lentz, who's not really being able to stay with the Spaniard ahead of him. Down they dive into turn one, through the hairpin. They rumble their way down the hill once more. This is the view on board with Alvarez in third place. And of course, downhill towards now turn 3. Ideally, you want to try and force a mistake out of your opponent. Either say he goes wide or is compromised on this next run all the way to turn 4, the next right-hander, into which they will turn in a moment. And Alvarez it is, chasing on behind Hahn. If anything, I think Lucas Hahn has just managed to stabilise that gap for the moment. Make that climb up the hill now. All of which is playing into the hands of Norbert, starting on that pole position and getting away now. Turn through onto the power, under braking the gap, wasn't it, between Hahn and Alvarez, but Lucas Hahn is able seemingly to maintain that place, and we know from real world racing how difficult it can be to overtake at certain circuits. Of course, the size of these trucks in real world, governed to 100 miles an hour, means that you can't necessarily dive up the inside in a tenth of a second like you could in a single-seater racing car or a Caterham, say. It takes a bit more planning in a racing truck, and that is why the real stars of this sport shine through. So there is Norbert Kish, race leader, heading towards us. The gap over Lucas Hahn is extending all the time, but Kish and Hahn, whether it's junior or senior, like old times. Alvarez, third, looking mighty promising indeed here in that third place, keeping Lentz at bay. Now remember, Sasha Lentz only fourth, race winner last year. And where is Theo Calve? He's retired by the look of it into the pit lane. So Theo Calve possibly with a problem, possibly with internet connection, out of the race. Here is Alvarez onto the tail now of Hahn for second place. Up towards the timing line they come. Now is Alvarez close enough to have a go? He is close. Does he think about it? He pulls to the inside, but I'm not really sure he's going to be near enough as they hit the brakes now. Dive down to the corner, turn through the right. Alvarez is close, and he's good under braking. We've seen that elsewhere on the lap. What can the Spaniard do against the German driver? The Hungarian, Norbert Kish, getting away up front, starting 2021 as he left off at the end of last season. Drops down the hill. Little red dot in the distance, but Hahn is under attack, that is for sure. 4/10 of a second between the pair of them. Alvarez in the Mercedes-Benz, and there aren't many of them in the championship. Namely, there's this one, and he's right there on the back of the increasingly popular Iveco in the hands of Lucas Hahn. Up now towards turn 7, and Hahn a little bit deep into the corner, a little bit wide maybe off his apex there. Chance for Alvarez to challenge. Back on the power, but the trouble is that the next part of the circuit you can't really overtake at in a track because it's that narrow right-left flick through the chicane. Come out of that, fine, but then you've got another sequence. So really, the main overtaking point is down at turn 1, although that said, Alvarez is going to try and force the issue here. There was almost half a gap there, and he's trying to get his elbows out, prise it open. Hahn, though, now feeling the pressure. Manuel Alvarez right there behind him, and Hahn perhaps just looking a little bit scrappier. The back of the rig dancing around a little bit more. He's on the limit then, he's feeling the pressure. Downhill they plunge, heading towards turn 14. Alvarez lines up to have a go, but by the time he gets there, it's too late, although is there contact. Hahn runs out wide over the curb, that's for sure. Into the hairpin at 15 now. If there was contact, Alvarez did the right thing there, backed out of it. Through they turn once more then. The climb up the hill, and this is where it's very important indeed for Alvarez not to make a mistake, to stay as close as he can, to get the power down, to get that momentum carried forward up the hill. Sasha Lentz is running there in 4th as they come over the line. Is this an opportunity for Alvarez to have the go? Drops back a little bit on the climb out of 16, but is he getting larger and larger in the mirrors? Let's see, down towards turn 1. It's closing, but again, it's late braking, but brings him nearer to the back of Hahn. And Hahn on the limit, deep out of the corner again. Can Alvarez challenge? Yes, he can. He's closed right up, look now, as they drop downhill. Head towards turn 3. And not only are these two getting closer to one another, but Lentz is catching up as well. Alvarez right on the tail then now of that second place Iveco in the hands of Lucas Hahn. Look back to Fischer, Jose Villa. It's an impressive debut, but he's falling away a little bit now as far as Sasha Lentz 4th is concerned. 6th is Jonathan Andre. Beyond Tiehouse is 7th. Antonio Alberthetti is 8th. 9th is Henry Tiehouse. And in 10th place it is Pedro Marco. It's game on. 2nd and 3rd. 8 3/4 minutes to go, plus a lap. There, through the chicane once again. And Lentz could be the danger here. He could be the lifeline that Hahn needs, in as much as if he gets much closer to Alvarez and starts to challenge, Alvarez will have to defend, and that'll take the pressure off Lucas Hahn a little bit. Second and third coming through as one. Hahn versus Alvarez. There aren't many places, in fact, now that Alvarez has not challenged. So let's see what he can do this time around. Down they come into turn 14. Hahn understeers out wide. Does that give Alvarez a chance to challenge? Not on the inside, it doesn't. That line is covered off wide into turn 15. Can he get the run up the hill? Let's see. Absolutely. Who's to tail those two now? Turn 16. Again, Alvarez wide through the corner, but what he wants to do, if he can now, is get that slingshot up the inside. Now the plan starts to form to see whether he can challenge into turn 1. It's not really a move at turn 16 he's after. It starts there, but he wants to finish it at turn 1. Kish, in the meantime, is well clear now as he comes over the line. 7 laps are done, and he's 5 seconds to the good. Alvarez there with a touch of opposite lock as he turns through. Into turn 3. Hahn goes through, still being chased hard by Manuel Alvarez. MAN, Iveco, Mercedes-Benz, 3 different brands in the top 3 here. Lentz MAN 4th, Villa MAN 5th, Andre MAN 6th, and then you've got in 7th place Bjorn Tiehouse, number 51 with the Scania. That's the second place battle. And you can see on board what Alvarez is up to here as he hustles along, tries to get himself in a position whereby he can challenge for second place, but he's running out of time. 6.5 minutes plus a lap, don't forget. Even Sasha Lentz, in fairness, can't stay with them. 8th at the moment is Antonio Alberthetti. The relevance of that, remember, is that's pole if he stays there for race 2. And 10th is Pedro Marco. He scored the last point. Alvarez all over the back of Hahn like a rash now. Iveco versus Mercedes. Hahn versus Alvarez. Whilst they squabble, so Norby Kish gets away. Here they come once more. Lucas Hahn still under huge attack now. Here a lap ago he ran out a little bit wide. Doesn't make the same small error this lap. That means that Alvarez is still there behind him. Looks to the inside line. That's where Hahn goes a little bit deep this time, and that does give Alvarez a challenge, but he's sideways. Can't get up alongside him. Looks for the inside at 16. He's certainly deep. And actually, you get the feeling that Alvarez does have the pace. If only he could find a way through, he might just be able to really challenge. Then he could go after Norby Kish. But if Alvarez could just find half a gap, I think he's got the pace to go through. Over the line once more. 0.6 of a second is the margin between second and third. And again, Lentz closing up a little bit, so they're busy squabbling. That delays the drivers involved. Behind Lentz is newcomer Jose Villa in 5th. Jonathan Andre, a rather frustrated and, in fact, you've got to say, distant 6th, now ahead of Tyhouse, Alberthetti, Henry Tyhouse and Pedro Marco. That one retirement, Tio Calve. They're going down the hill once again out of turn 4. Number 8, Manuel Alvarez then. So the Trucker and Clio Cup race, in fact, had an injury sustained in the Clio Cup. Goes through, running in that 3rd spot. Not for the want of trying. Is he only 3rd? He's determined to get past Lucas Hahn, but he can't do it yet. Norbert Kish way out up front though as he goes into the chicane. Look back to 2nd and 3rd and 4th. Lentz still pounding along, saying, wait for me. He's almost with them. Lentz pace, though, just not quite good enough. He rather needs those two to delay each other. When they do get together and scrap, that is when he's able to really benefit. They turn. Norby Kish, the race leader at the start of this lap, by over 6 seconds. And that margin is increasing all the time. Back on board here, looking further down the order. You're with Sasha Lentz, who sees Alvarez make a move, get up the curb, get sideways, couldn't go through. So does that give Lentz a chance to come back into the mix now? Get the feeling this might even end in tears between those two further up the road as they come off turn 16. Again, Alvarez now starts to think about making that move. Down towards turn 1 they go. Now, is this going to be the chance for him to challenge? What about Lentz? Lentz also has to be mindful of defending from Jose Villa, but as they drop down towards turn 1, 3 minutes plus a lap, and a flying lap is 2 minutes 18. You're going to have really 2 more racing laps, I reckon, within the allotted time, plus the regulation lap. As way up the curb goes Alvarez. If he can't find a way by on the road, he's going to try and shortcut the lap and see if that gives him an advantage. Gets him away from Lentz by length, that's for sure. Downhill they drop once again, but Lucas Hahn just cannot shake them off, can he? Downhill they go once more. So the race order: Kish, Hahn, Alvarez for the notional podium. Lentz, Villa, Andre to round out the top 6. Tyhouse and Alberthetti arguing over the front row for race 2. And then Henry Tyhouse and Pedro Marco rounding out the point scorers as Lentz goes wide and Alvarez is sideways. He tries to get the power down and tighten that line. The run up towards the chicane, and it didn't work for him. They flick through once again here. But Lucas Hahn, even if he's not comfortable, does seem to have the answer, because most things that Alvarez have tried, he's been able to bat away, hasn't he? He's hung on to that place. Yes, he's given away huge chunks of time to Norby Kish, but he's hanging on to that second place. Manuel Alvarez doing a really good job in third spot. Towards as they come. Battle is on. Hahn, Alvarez, second and third. They have been like this for the bulk of the 25 minutes. There's going to be time for one more lap within the time, and then the regulation lap at the end. You're looking back from Lucas Hahn's Iveco. Manuel Alvarez closing right up under braking, trying to get up the inside, and he's done it finally. He's almost alongside. This is his chance. The second place, sideways off turn 16. Alvarez makes the move. We've been waiting race long for this. He's almost alongside him, but he hasn't got the pace to stay there, surprisingly. Alvarez has to drop back in behind and challenge again, but that was what he'd been building up to, the inside line, but he didn't have the speed to stay level. He stays on the tail, but he can't stay alongside him. And it means that as they get down to turn one yet again, so Lucas Hahn is able to fend him off. Downhill they drop. Clock ticks on down, now to 0. And there, Hahn versus Lentz, because he's got himself up past the truck of Alvarez after that little mistake at turn 2. But Alvarez fights back. Side by side, they run up the hill. On the inside is Lentz, on the outside is Alvarez. He's going to go a little bit wide over the curb, and it helps him because he's back up into third place. Lentz tries to challenge. Getting the replay of exactly how all that shuffling came about. So keep an eye to the main picture, because that's the fight for second place. Have a look at the replay in the inset box, because as they go through the chicane now, third, fourth and fifth are as one, but it was all down at turn 2 and 3 where that shuffle happened, and out wide ran Alvarez. Well, he's got the place back, and Jose Villa has caught right up as well. Lucas Hahn hangs on to second place, and suddenly, with lots of breathing space now, look, he's massive gap over everybody else. So Hahn for second. There's going to be the regulation lap at the end, don't forget. Norbert Kish, lest we forget, he's away and gone. The reigning champion is up front. There is Hahn going through in second, and Norbert Kish in the red Revesh TRT entry, coming then now towards turn 16. Another demonstration drive by a real great of truck racing, whether it's in a real world truck or a virtual truck. Came back to car racing a couple of seasons ago when he drove for Hungary in the touring car element of the World Motorsport Games. So over the line goes Norby Kish onto the last lap of race 1 of the 2021 ETRC Digital Racing Challenge here. Hahn second, Alvarez third, Lentz fourth. You're on board with Jose Villa as they come over the timing line. Confirmation that we're on the last lap of the race then, as through turn 1 goes Villa, and that's Alvarez running wide further up the road. Does that give Lentz the chance to challenge? Certainly it gives Hahn the chance to get away, no question about that. That's Lentz's brief view as he has a look to the inside line, but no, gets a face full of the Mercedes. Drop downhill now. It's all getting very towy indeed, isn't it? Second and third and fourth. Fifth, Villa trying to make a move against Lentz here. So they rumble their way once more up the hill, heading towards turn 4. Lucas Hahn, good for second. Norbert Kish, good for the win. But who is going to be third? Alvarez, Lentz, Villa, they've all got a chance. Out of turn 7 they come here. So the race leader, Norbert Kish, well clear of everybody else. 9 seconds to the good right now. Sasha Lentz goes through, fending off the challenge of Jose Villa, but let's concentrate on Norbert Kish for a moment, because he is way, way clear up the road. There he is, comes to the stadium then for the last time, works his way into turn 15, then now goes under the Goodyear gantry, brakes hard, sets up the MAN to go around that long left-hander onto the power, hit into the right, but he lines it up to go into turn 16, checkered flag at the ready, and it is going to be a race win for Norbert Kish. Checkered flag is at the ready. The easy part of all of this, as we saw 10 times last year, is Norbert Kish is set for a race win. Honours in race 1 of the 2021 ETRC Digital Racing Challenge go the way of Norbert Kish. He comes across the line to score the win. Who is going to be second then? Lucas Hahn comes across the line in second spot. Third, Manuel Alvarez. Fourth, Sasha Lentz. Fifth goes the way of Jose Villa. And sixth, Jonathan Andre. And what about seventh? Is it going to be Bjorn Tiehaus? We await there. Fifth one. And they'll put him on the front row. He hangs on to seventh, which he will. Front row for race 2. Pole for race 2 is going to be Antonio Alberthetti. And then we keep them coming to see who the last 2 point scorers are. Henry Tiehaus is going to take 9th place, and Pedro Marco should be on for 10th. So they will round out the point scorers. The rest of the drivers come through them, with for 11th place, there in the background, Ivan Rodriguez. 12th is going to be Lucas Rivals. 13th after his off on the opening lap, Marco Klingelhoefer. And 14th is the Dutch driver Ferry Van Drunen. There's Klingelhoefer. He's on target 13th. The one retirement, remember, is Theo Calve. Disappointing way for him to start the season. Not sure whether it was any damage incurred or whether it was an internet connection problem, which is another one to add to the modern-day racing drivers' book of excuses, internet disconnected. But could have been that, and it is, of course, a way of being ejected from the race. So, in fairness, if there is an internet problem, it does have pretty serious consequences. So, a very good drive indeed by Norbert Kish. He's done it again. Comes through as the race winner. And he will hopefully be able to join us in the chat room in a moment to have a word about that win. Really good drive by Lucas Hahn to hang on to second place and withstand all that pressure. Lucas Hahn second, and Manuel Alvarez, who we've not seen in the ETRC Digital Challenge before, a really good job for that third place. So, the provisional results of race 1, because if there's anything to come from race control, they'll be fed into the system. But Norbert Kish is the victor, ahead of Lucas Hahn and Manuel Alvarez in third. Sasha Lentz, fourth, ahead of Jose Villa and then Jonathan Andre. Bjorn Tiehaus, seventh, ahead of Antonio Alberthetti. So Alberthetti takes pole, reverse the top 8 for the race 2 grid. 9th goes the way of Henry Tiehaus ahead of Pedro Marco, top 10 for points. 11th is Rodriguez ahead of Rival, Klingelhoefer, Van Drunen. And we lost Theo Calve, so let's see whether he is going to be on that grid for race 2. Hope he is, because he will be quite a factor if he is there, but there's no guarantee. That is the disappointment. So the drivers will make their way down to the pit lane. Norbert Kish can celebrate yet another virtual truck racing win, another victory on home soil, as it were. And Norbert Kish is the race victor, as we've been saying. Great drive by him. And Norbert Kish scores honours from Lucas Hahn and Manuel Alvarez. Now, we do, of course, have a break between races to give the drivers a chance to reset their servers, to give race control a chance to look at any possible protests or any incidents that might need addressing, which in turn, where you've got a result determining a grid, could affect what comes later. So the race control team will go to work with anything that needs to be looked at, and Rolf Werner, the race director, if he feels he needs to have a word with anybody, will so do. So, Norbert Kish, race winner, joins us in the English streaming room. Another great drive, Norby, well done, and that all looked rather dominant. Was it an easy race out there?
Thank you. Well, no, there's no easy race. It was difficult, and now the field is much bigger. We have more competitors, and some guys are really fast, really fast. So it's definitely a bigger competition than last year. So yeah, I'm really happy about it. And if you look at the times with the practice, I wasn't even fastest. So yeah, it's really nice. It was nice. Well, the start was tight, and then I could make a little bit of a gap, and then after that I tried to manage the tires, because there's also a new aspect of the simulation that last year we didn't really have tire wear and tire overheating, and now we have, because the game is constantly under development. So now you have to watch out for the tires as well.
How many laps can you go before they start to lose their optimum feel?
Oh well, actually, you have one good lap,
Oh really?
Yeah, it's really difficult in the qualifying, because if you don't nail your first lap, then you'll have hard time to make a good lap in the second or in third lap, because they start to lose a couple of tenths. But it's just like the real thing, Also the real, it's really heavy. These machines are really heavy, so they really take a toll on the front tires, especially.
What you were saying about the level of competitiveness this year being stronger, we've got more people in the championship. That places big emphasis on that super pole, doesn't it? To be at the front of the grid now.
Yeah, it's very important. Yeah, just like in the real racing,
yeah.
it's also the qualifying is very, very important, and here in the simulator as well.
Now, also, this bigger grid, this increased level of competitiveness means that from 8th in race 2, it's going to be pretty tough, isn't it, to come through?
Oh yeah, definitely. I really look forward, because I'm sure it will be a good and action-packed race, and the most important thing is to try to stay out of trouble. Maybe overtake a couple. Well, we see what happens. It will be definitely a new experience.
For sure. Norby, well done. Congratulations. Great start to the season. Well done.
Thank you very much.
So Norby Kish is our race 1 victor, and an excellent drive by Norbert Kish. Now let's try and have a word with Lucas Hahn, who took 2nd place. Lucas, well done, but a tough race, a big battle with Manuel for almost all the race.
Hello, thank you. Yeah, it really was a hard race for me, but I had a lot of luck in the first corner, and then we're gonna race.
But it was tough, because Manuel was always right behind you. Only, I think, towards the last 2 laps did he make a mistake and fall away slightly.
Yes, of course. I had a lot of pressure behind me, but I handled it good, sure. I think. Yeah.
Now, race 2 is going to be a little different, maybe, because rather than defend, now you must attack. You'll be on row 4, so push to get through the traffic ahead of you.
Yeah, of course. But in the first time, you have to look what the other drivers are doing in the front, because sometimes there are a lot of trouble. They have also fights, and then we will look and go through.
Excellent, Lucas. Well done, 2nd place. Good luck for race 2.
Thank you.
So Lucas Hahn takes 2nd place. And race of the so the 2nd race will be coming up a little bit later on. We have, of course, the drivers to reset the server for race control, to go and make sure that there's nothing that needs addressing that might affect the way that the drivers cross the line, giving us that grid. Antonio Alberthetti will be the driver that starts on pole position then, 8th. Alongside him is going to be Bjorn Teichhaus, and as we've been discussing with Norby Kish and Lucas Hahn, they're going to start on the 4th row of the grid now, so a long way back on that grid. It also means, though, that there's going to be plenty of drama. They've got to get through the first corner safely, and after that, well, anything could happen. It's going to be fascinating to see how this race pans out. And of course, you've got that second half of the grid that don't benefit from the reversal, that want to make progress anyway. And it may well be that we have to think about adding Tio Calve into that mix as well, because he too, if he can get into the race, will try and research in the break why he had that drama, why he retired from race 1. But if he is in race 2, the young French driver should be capable of making some progress. Inevitably, a lot of it you have to do off the start through those first couple of corners where the field is tightly bunched, where you can do that overtaking. After that, as you've just seen, life gets tougher, but we should be in for a really good second race, I would have thought, here, once the rigs make their way out on track. We should be good to go at round about 5 minutes to the hour, so we've got time for a short break, and then we can look forward to the second race here with this semi-reversed grid. But it is a win in the opening race in the ETRC Digital Challenge for Norbert Kish. Second across the line to Lucas Hahn, and Manuel Alvarez making his debut within the ETRC Digital Series, coming home in third spot. Quick recap of who was behind, because fourth it was Sasha Lentz, race winner last year in the championship, and I think will be frustrated that he didn't have quite the pace to be able to not only stay really with the top three, but also to be able to make progress through. Fifth, really good debut for Jose Villa. To round out the top six, Jonathan Andre, possibly a bit frustrated with that result, because we saw him run for podium places last year, couldn't do it in that first race. Bjorn Teichhaus, seventh, good result for him in that venerable Scania. Antonio Alberthetti, eighth. Well, again, Antonio, I suspect, will be disappointed with that because last year he was getting quicker and quicker, but he starts off the front row. So what can he do in race two to reverse his fortunes? Ninth and 10th, 2 points for Henry Teichhaus, 1 point for Pedro Marco. We'll see what they can do as well. They don't benefit from the reverse grid, but they at least will be, I'm sure, competitive in the midfield fight when we get to race two. That's coming up later after we've had a break.
At Goodyear, we understand the challenges of business. Your fleet is out on the road working hard, and you need tires you can rely on. Tires that are more innovative, more advanced, more versatile, and most importantly, better for business. Introducing the new K-Max and FuelMax Gen 2 range. K-Max Gen 2. Superb mileage, optimal fuel efficiency, and better all-weather capability. Excellent mileage levels, significantly improved traction throughout the tire life. And FuelMax Gen 2, exceptional fuel efficiency, increased mileage, and better all-weather capability. Excellent fuel efficiency, significantly improved all-weather capability. Gen 2. More innovative, more advanced, better for business. Welcome to the next generation. The new K-Max and FuelMax Gen 2 range from Goodyear.
At home in Germany, on the go in the world. Every year, up to 20,000 vehicles drive from our depot in the Swabian town of Burtenbach out into the world.
Novum is our new fully revised trailer concept. Novum not only introduced the new external frames and body, but also the new optimally designed Kugel modular system with optimized uniform new modulus assemblies and components.
In the category concept, first place was awarded to Burtenbach.
Kugel's innovative Novum generation trailers have been awarded the International Industry Prize Trailer Innovation 2019 in the Supreme Discipline Concept at IAA Commercial Vehicles.
Our mission is to move your freight, thereby making our contribution to your profitability, so that your cargo arrives quickly, safely, and efficiently. Today, tomorrow, always.
At Goodyear, we understand the challenges of business. Your fleet is out on the road working hard, and you need tires you can rely on. Tires that are more innovative, more advanced, more versatile, and most importantly, better for business. Introducing the new K-Max and FuelMax Gen 2 range. K-Max Gen 2. Superb mileage, optimal fuel efficiency, and better all-weather capability. Excellent mileage levels, significantly improved traction throughout the tire life. And FuelMax Gen 2. Exceptional fuel efficiency, increased mileage, and better all-weather capability. Excellent fuel efficiency, significantly improved all-weather capability. Gen 2. More innovative, more advanced, better for business. Welcome to the next generation. The new K-Max and FuelMax Gen 2 range from Goodyear.
At home in Germany, on the go in the world. Every year, up to 20,000 vehicles drive from our depot in the Swabian town of Burtenbach out into the world.
Novum is our new fully revised trailer concept. Novum not only introduced the new external frames and body, but also the new optimally designed Kugel modular system with optimized uniform new modulus assemblies and components.
In the category concept, first place was awarded to Burtenbach.
Kugel's innovative Novum generation trailers have been awarded the International Industry Prize Trailer Innovation 2019 in the Supreme Discipline concept at IAA Commercial Vehicles.
Our mission is to move your freight, thereby making our contribution to your profitability, so that your cargo arrives quickly, safely, and efficiently. Today, tomorrow, always.
So welcome back as we get ourselves ready for the second race here at the FIA ETRC Digital Racing Challenge. The grid will be based on, of course, the results from that earlier race with the top 8 reversed. Now, I understand that race control currently busy looking at 1 or 2 incidents, so there might be a delay just whilst the incidents are looked at. And if, of course, action needs to be taken, that would affect the result, which will affect the grid. So you understand why everybody has to have a very good look at all of these things before we can go racing. So if we do have a small delay, that is going to be the reason. Rolf Werner and his team will be looking at all the available footage. Of course, they have the external footage. They have onboards from every driver. All the drivers themselves, incidentally, just to make the point, have to have an open Skype call so that the race director can see who is driving each truck. There was, of course, the celebrated Daniel Abt Formula E drama last year where it wasn't him driving it. Well, to get around that problem, you have to have not only TeamSpeak open so the race director can talk to you and you to him, but also Skype so he can see exactly who he's dealing with. So it's all, as I was making the point earlier on, done very properly, all with carefully put in place regulations and checks to make sure that this is all done as a proper professional championship should be run. You get pages of drivers' briefing notes, you get very comprehensive regulations. So this isn't just people having a bit of fun. Yes, they are, but it is all done properly and professionally as well. So race 2 around the Hungaroring, we look forward to. If there are no dramas from that race 1 result, it should give us pole position for Antonio Alberthetti. Now, he is the driver that came across the line 8th in that opening race. Alberthetti was a podium finisher towards the end of last season. He did actually get himself in some of the mid-season races towards the front of the grid for the reverse grid races last year, but pace, results, luck, add them all together, never came his way. And so Antonio Alberthetti will be very keen indeed to try to get away from the opposition once we go racing. Bjorn Teichhaus is going to be the driver that starts alongside him with the Scania. The second row of the grid, Jonathan Andre starting on the inside in the Lion Truck Racing MAN, and then Jose Villa for the outside of that row. Now, this is another of the newcomers to the championship, young Spanish racer, taking then 5th in race 1, and he lines up on the outside of row 2 for race 2. The third row, Sasha Lentz, who was a race winner twice indeed in the championship last year, and newcomer Manuel Alvarez, who was a really impressive rookie in race 1, tried everything to find a way past Lucas Hahn, could not quite do it, but not for the want of trying. Did briefly lose his 3rd place to Lentz, fought back, got the place again. So we know he's a feisty racer, and with this reverse grid, let's see what he can do with Lucas Hahn then on the inside of row 4, 2nd in race 1, and Norbert Kisch will be the driver who lines up alongside as the race 1 victor. He will start 8th on the grid. So a lot to look forward to then as we get ourselves set for race 2 here of the ETRC Digital Racing Challenge. It's time to go racing once more at the Hungaroring. So the Hungarian Circuit, 4.3 kilometres long. It's 25 minutes to include the pace lap with a regulation lap added on at the end. It is that semi-reversed grid, and the drivers now making their way to the grid. They rejoin the server, therefore they don't do a lap and drive round to the grid. They just reconnect and ping, they're there. They're on track, ready to go. 2 minutes we have until the start of the formation lap. The Hungaroring Circuit with that very distinctive turn 1 hairpin that's been the undoing of many, seen of plenty of drama over the years, and then you drop downhill behind the paddock and into turn 3. Turn 4 brings you up the hill, and at the back of the circuit, those 2 little chicanes, 8, 9, 10 and 11, difficult to overtake around there, but then of course towards the end of the lap into the stadium, then you can overtake and you can plan that move through 16, ready for the pit straight down towards turn 1 on the next lap. Before we go racing though, it is time for the Ford F-Max lap here at the Hungaroring. The pace lap is underway here at the Hungaroring. Antonio Alberthetti leads them away. So remember, this counts within the 25 minutes, but we have a lap added on at the end. Theo Calvé I was looking for, but it was an internet problem that stopped him before. I rather fear that he is not there for this either. So we did see Theo Calvé as an early retirement, and now it looks as though, sadly, he ain't going to make the grid for this race either. Big, big disappointment then. Theo Calvé, non-starter for the second race. Or is he there? No, maybe the Bagheera has crept in right at the very back. So the rear of the grid looks a little jumbled, I must confess, but maybe he's there after all. He should have been right at the very back. It looks like he's got himself ahead, if he is there, ahead of Ferry Van Drunen. Anyway, let's worry about the front of the grid first of all, where Antonio Alberthetti lines up alongside Bjorn Teichhaus. That second row, the Yellow Perils, you've got Jonathan Andre on the inside, and lining up alongside him is Jose Villa. The third row, Sasha Lentz, and alongside him, Manuel Alvarez. Mighty impressive he has been thus far this evening. Lucas Hahn is on row 4 alongside Norby Kiss. So that first race, we had 11 laps. That is the target. And the drivers then will rumble their way up towards the chicane through turns 8 and 9 in a moment. There they are. The Iveco pace truck turns its way through. Yes, we do have Calvé at the back. He is slightly out of position, but he is there. That's the good news. Antonio Alberthetti then came from real-world single-seater racing into truck racing many, many years ago. He has been largely responsible for the huge crowds at the Jarama events within the European Championship. Champion in 05, in 06, in 2010. Had a year out in 2016, but came back to be third in 2018, runner-up in 2019, and sixth in the limited championship that we managed to squeeze in last year. So he's one of the old stagers, dare one say. Great enthusiast and a great ambassador as well for truck racing. He totally embraced it and has been loyal to the discipline. And a bit like Norby Kiss, really, despite coming from car racing, has never looked down on truck racing. And indeed, you take Adam Lachko as another example of a driver from cars into truck racing, but completely committed to the discipline. Adam Lachko, another European champion. But this is our second digital race of 2021. Is it going to be a Norby Kiss victory? We're about to find out, because we will go racing in a moment. This is the exit of turn 15. They make the climb up the hill, and then we will be set to go. Antonio Alberthetti then from pole position. Alongside him, Bjorn Teichhaus. It's a slightly untidy grid, is it not? Because Alberthetti's trying to get away. Teichhaus ought to be alongside him. If the race director is happy, then the lights will change. End of lap 1, which is the pace lap. But now the duration of 25 minutes plus the regulation lap at the end will be go. It is blast off, and away they go with Alberthetti then trying to get the advantage. To the inside line goes Jonathan Andre in 66, gets a bit of a squeeze, and that gives Bjorn Teichhaus the chance to come diving round on the outside line. Teichhaus leads, but is he going to break late enough? Up the inside clatters Alberthetti. They're going to run out wide. Jose Villa will take over the race lead. Andre is there behind him. There's more contact at the back as Rodriguez gets involved with somebody. And downhill, it's looking very yellow to begin with, isn't it? Because Jose Villa leads the way. Rodriguez has spun in the background. He's not the only one in strife. I think Klingelhoefer is in the wars. That is Bjorn Teichhaus getting it wrong. Alberthetti plunges down the order. Kish is delayed. Calvé has made really good progress because the Freightliner is well up the order then for the Bagheera racing team. And Bjorn Teichhaus, who started on the front row, is virtually last, or last but one. He's had a woeful first few corners, largely, I think, because he got a bit of hit and shoulder from Alberthetti at turn 1. But it is Jose Villa that leads. Andre second, Alvarez is third, Lentz is fourth, and Hahn is fifth. And that means that Norby Kiss, if he is going to get through the pack, he's going to have to work really, really hard in order to do it. Through goes Lentz, keeping fellow countryman Hahn at bay. But up front, Jose Villa it is then who leads the pack. Jonathan Andre in second spot as they come out of the chicane now. Leading 5 in a line. And then Norby Kiss, who ran out deep through turn 3, trying to make amends, trying to play catch-up. This is lap number 2 of a projected 11. So Jonathan Andre in second spot, trying to hustle on behind Jose Villa, who there uses lots of curb. Look as he comes out of turn 13. Now drop down the hill for the first time. Let us see what progress, if anything, Andre can make onto the tail now of the 99 rig up front. I'll come over the line then in a moment, but the battle is on. Second, third and fourth are as one, and that is giving Jose Villa a chance to get away. Andre under attack from Alvarez, under attack from Lentz. Hahn waiting for it, maybe to end in tears as there. Look, Alvarez dives up the inside of Andre, elbows him out wide. Here comes Lentz then now looking the green and black MAN to try his luck at getting a place out of all of this. But Jose Villa leads across the line. That will now put 2 laps in the book effectively. Alvarez going after him up into second place. Andre third, Lentz fourth as they come through. Over the timing line, down towards turn 1. So Jose Villa it is then. Up front, Alvarez under attack. Andre back on the inside of him as they come out of turn 1. Andre has his nose in front. Theo Calve was being a little bit delayed there. He was 8th, but I think has gone wide through the first corner. Let's check as they drop downhill once again. Alvarez to the inside of Andre. They lean on each other. That forces Jonathan Andre out wide, and a sideways Alvarez is going to be second. Who's for third? Lentz to the outside. Yep, gets the job done. So Lentz up to third. Fourth, Andre, just because here comes Hahn up alongside him, and Lucas Hahn goes through, gets his nose in front. So Lucas Hahn to the outside line there, gets through on the outside, or does he? He's off the road. He's back on again. Norby Kish is up with them as well now. So Hahn goes through. Kish now challenges against Andre. Lap 1 is under investigation, we understand, because of all of the little incidents that went on. Off the road, shortcutting the chicane is Jonathan Andre. That gives him the advantage maybe on the inside to attack Kish. Can't find a way by there though. So Norby Kish hangs on to the pace, and that brings him now up into 5th spot, but he's still got a lot of work to do the double here. Have 2 wins. It's not out of the question, but it's going to be hard work. So they're going through. Race leader, Jose Villa, 2 seconds to the good. And Norby Kish, even if he has got the pace, he's going to have to work really hard to battle his way through. You see how much curb he uses, would demolish those floppy markers in real world racing. Goes under the Goodyear gantry now, down towards turn 15. A long way back. Battle rages on between Bjorn Tiehaus and Ivan Rodriguez, who is trying to recover. So there, 51 is Tiehaus, who has dropped back now behind Rodriguez. So yo-yoing his way up and down the order after starting on the front row of the grid. Leaders go by then. There is Kish. Where is he on road? He's 5th, but he's got work to do. 3 laps now completed. We're aiming, as I say, for 11 as they drop down into turn 1. Jose Villa, though, the race leader, looking really impressive up front. A frustrated Jonathan Andre is 6th. Alberthetti, the poleman, is 7th. Theo Calve is 8th. There he is in the background. So the bonneted Freightliner on the back of the MAM. 9th is Henry Tiehaus. Bjorn Tiehaus is now 10th, so he has got himself up past Rodriguez. Rodriguez 11th, Rival is 12th, Pedro Marco is 13th, and then it is Van Drunen and Klingelhoefer to round out the order. Downhill, there goes Alberthetti, but you can see the way that Calve is challenging. Replay of the start on the right, this is what's under investigation. Look, Alberthetti breaks late, locks up, scrabbles out wide, but he took there Tiehaus with him. So there's nothing that Tiehaus could do, and there are other incidents further back as well. Others getting sideways like Rodriguez. That gave Calve a chance to challenge, and then of course it all kicks off as well down at turn number 3. To the inside line there, we had a big sideways moment from Alberthetti. There was Tiehaus forced out wide, Kish was delayed, Calve gained ground, so race control will have a look at all of that. What we see over the line may not necessarily be the total story. Now Jose Villa leading the way, but Manuel Alvarez is going after Jose Villa. That gap is coming down between the two of them. So it is Villa up front, only by 7/10 of a second. Lentz is 3rd, Hahn is 4th. Now, what's going to be interesting is the Hahn versus Kish battle now, to see whether or not it's going to be an easy pass for Norby Kish, or whether he's going to get stuck behind Lucas Hahn here, because if he loses time, then that's going to be bad news for the Hungarian. Incident between Alberthetti and Tiehouse, no further action. So race control has had a look, it's had an investigation and decides it is just one of those things, start of the race, cold tyres, and a mistake by Alberthetti. And they're going way off wide is Hahn. Now that could be an internet problem for him, let's see. So the truck will come across the line, and as they do so, Jose Villa up front. Lucas Hahn having had that battle with Norbert Kish, but I feel we've got some internet connectivity problems, which is why the order is looking jumbled and why the circuit is looking empty. So it could be here that we have to interrupt proceedings and go again. We'll wait to see what develops from race control. So bear with us. One of the constant thorns in the side of digital motorsport these days, internet connectivity. So we'll wait and find out exactly what goes on, what happens and how we go from here. But it'll be very disappointing for Jose Villa, if we have to restart the entire race rather than carry on from where we left off, because he built himself into the race lead from 4th on the grid and was looking very strong indeed up front. So apologies, interruption to proceedings. As soon as we can restore normality, we will. Norby Kish had just been closing, as you'd seen, onto the tail of Lucas Hahn, and that was starting to develop into a nice little fight as well. So as soon as possible, things will be restored, and then we'll be back to go. So the order will be brought to the grid. Drivers will reconnect to the server, and we'll update in a moment. You've got, of course, all the drivers connecting to a server. You've got race control connecting. You've got the television feed connected to a server. There are English and there are German and Spanish and French commentary streams as well. So there's an awful lot all connected to this one race. And if anything goes to throw that out of kilter, it can have rather far-reaching consequences. So as soon as we can get everything back up and running, we will do. Take this as an unofficial commercial break. You can go and get another Weiss beer before we carry on, and then we'll be back in business with the race leader being Jose Villa. So the Spanish driver, who's an experienced truck racer as well as car racer these days. He's been in the end of season long distance endurance race at Jarama. Actually, so too, Antonio Alberthetti, not sharing the same car, but in that same race. Right, we're back in business. We've reconnected. Everybody else is there too, and the race order remains the same. So Jose Villa it is up front, from Manuel Alvarez in second place, third Sasha Lentz, and in fourth Lucas Hahn, and fifth is Norby Kish. Andre down in sixth, Alberthetti seventh, Calve is eighth. So can Jose Villa hang on in there? He is now 5 laps in the book as he drops downhill. The race has been carrying on while we've been away, but the picture's briefly disappearing, so apologies for that, but you've not missed anything of significance, the order remaining the same. And although we had briefly seen what looked like Lucas Hahn going off the road, that was all to do with connectivity. He's there, he's legit, he's fourth, and he's under attack from Norby Kish, but he's not letting that pressure get to him. So there, Jose Villa under attack still. Manuel Alvarez, who was a really good, feisty racer, as we saw in that opening event, right on his tail, but he's got Lentz looking for a way past him. Hahn fourth, Kish fifth. This is reverse grid track racing at its best, as they all concertina. It gives some of the drivers that didn't do quite so well in race one an opportunity to see what can be done. Well, Villa had tried to make the break early on. It's not really come to anything for him, because look, they've all managed to close that gap down, and while there's a lead battle, so that gives the lifeline to the likes of Hahn and Kish, fourth and fifth. They can make progress while that squabbling goes on ahead of them. Hard on the brakes. Jose Villa turning his way then down through turn 14 at the foot of the lap. He has got Alvarez crawling all over the back of him, but Alvarez tries to go wide into 15, then see whether he can get the gap coming out of the corner. But as long as the inside is covered off by Villa, it's going to make life very difficult indeed. Which sides? Go for the 8s here, but again, you've got to be on the inside line at 16 to have any chance at all of challenging down at turn 1. All the other lap 1 incidents, by the way, have been looked at. No further action to be taken. Villa leads over the line then. Alvarez is second. Lentz is third. Hahn fourth. Kish fifth. Any one of those 5 could yet be a winner. We've got just under 10 minutes on the clock, plus the regulation lap as there. Alvarez has a look to the inside line. Down to turn 1 they go. But again, Villa covers him off nicely. You've got Kish also crawling all over the back of Hahn. But they could do with working together, if that's at all possible, and do something about Lentz for 3rd place. Battle on the last lap. Don't waste time battling now. Villa still leads the way as he drops downhill. Remember what Norbert Kish was saying about having to look after the tyres as well. So it's all very well being up front, getting a bit giddy with a nosebleed, being high up the order. But are you going to abuse the rubber? This game runs on the Assetto platform and is constantly being enhanced. So heavy trucks in the real world, and that tyre wear being brought into the game now for Season 2. Then Concertina there, look, going through turn 7. Back onto the power now. Norby Kish having a look to the inside of Lent and of Hahn. Couldn't quite find a way past Hahn, but he does force a bit of an error out of the German driver. So Lukas Hahn then runs over the curb, but he hangs onto the place. Norbert Kish can't find a way past him. There they are, look, nose to tail. 6 behind them is Jonathan Andre. Race leader through then to Jose Villa. 6 laps in the book, continues to hold sway. Kish all over back of Hahn as they beautifully drift their way there out of turns 12 and 13. Villa ahead of Alvarez. It's a very Iberian front to the order, this right now, the 2 Spanish drivers together. And look, Lentz shaking off Hahn because Hahn is having to work hard now to defend 4th place from Kish. He's holding him up and he goes very, very deep with a bit of understeer there down towards turn 14. Scrabbles his way around the corner. Kish comes up alongside him to the outside line. Can't do it there. Can he get the undercut for the inside? Yes, he can at 15. Does that help him coming out of the corner? He gets his nose in front, but Hahn's got the inside for the 16. Tries to fight back. Little bit of contact between the two, but Kish round the outside is ahead. But can he get the job done? Because he's going to be hung out to dry if he's not careful. All the way past the pits now. Down towards turn 1 they come. It is still Villa in the lead. And if Hahn breaks late, can he get himself back through on the inside line? Norby Kish is ahead, but he can't move fully across and defend there. So Hahn breaks as late as he dares. It's game on for the race lead as well. Alvarez all over the back of Villa. Hahn back up the inside of Kish. They're still side by side around turn 1. Now Norby Kish gets his nose in front. He's also got the inside line for the plunge downhill. Kink at 2, corner at 3. He'll get the job done here, surely. He's got the inside line, and yes, through he goes. Job done. Norbert Kish goes by, picks up the place. On board with Hahn, you see what has befallen him. He's lost a place to that Red Devil ahead of him. So Norby Kish goes by. Number 1, the reigning champion, moves himself up front. So there you've got 22, which is the Lukas Hahn, Iveco, still go after Norbert Kish. Now, Kish has got 6.5 minutes plus a lap in which to get past Lentz, Alvarez and Villa. And first, he's got to catch them. It's not out of the question, but it's certainly not going to be easy, that is for sure. In terms of points, the tie houses round out the top 10. Calvé is still stuck behind Alberthetti, 7th and 8th, those two. And there is Hahn down in 5th place then, so he's lost 1 spot. Alvarez looking pretty solid with a 3rd and a 2nd across the 2 races this evening. So Norby Kish pounds on them, but the 2 race leaders in danger of not only getting themselves together, but allowing Lentz the chance to close and allowing Kish and Hahn the chance to close. Actually, although Lukas Hahn has lost that place, look, he's not losing touch with Norby Kish. The 2 of them are still running together, so Hahn possibly now able to gauge his pace against the Hungarian driver ahead of him. Let's see what he can do to stay on the tail of the Hungarian and possibly make a move. So the mirror of Sasha Lentz's SL Truck Sport 30 entry, you see there what's going on behind, and what's going on behind is that Kish is closing. Through go the race leaders. Jose Villa with 5 minutes on the clock leads the way. Last time Alvarez was only 0.6 of a second behind him. This time he's virtually with him. Lentz is third, fourth is Kish, but he's not yet got himself much closer. It's 0.4 of a second between the top two this lap as they drop downhill. Now Lentz on the attack. Could he be the one to upset this very Spanish front of the pack? It doesn't include Antonio Alberthetti. What you've got here are drivers from the Spanish Truck Race Championship. But Lentz is with them. 4.5 minutes to go. Remember, a flying lap at the moment is a 2:18, so they're running out of time, running out of laps all the while here. Climb the hill, go through that kink at turn 6. But Jose Villa looking really strong up front. Alvarez is with him. Now Lentz will be oh so mindful that he's being caught by Kish. If he wants to protect podium place, he's got to get on with this. He in turn is stuck behind Alvarez, but Kish is closing all the time here. Into the chicane, bounce over the curb, back onto the power. With 4 minutes on the clock, they're turning through is Sasha Lentz. His father, a very, very successful truck racer, of course, and year by year, Sasha Lentz becomes ever more formidable. If anything, it's not talent that he lacks, it's budget. And putting together a full season, not the easiest of things financially. It's a little bit cheaper even investing in the sim stuff, but he goes well in the virtual world of truck racing, but so too does Jose Villa, who cannot shake off Manuel Alvarez, but he's still there, holding sway. I would offer you 3 more laps at the end of this. Lentz closing on Alvarez. They're all being caught by Norby Kish as well as they come into turn 16 here. Villa up front, heading towards the line once again. Over the line goes Jose Villa. And the margin down to 0.7 of a second once again. 9 laps in the book. So the pace that they've got suggests they might be able to squeeze 2 more out before the clock hits 0. Let's see. As I say, it was 11 laps last time. But in the meantime, Norby Kish in that 4th place, creeping up onto the back of the opposition. Is it 4 for the lead? Almost, 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 almost. So Jose Villa still looking good up front. Through he goes. Alvarez second. Still there in that 3rd place is Sasha Lentz. Kish 4th. And Lucas Hahn in 5th, but now starting to fall away. Jonathan Andre still runs 6th. But I just wonder now whether, as you go on board with Kish and they come through the chicane, we've seen the best out of Hahn. Is he going to be caught by Andre before the end? Because suddenly he looks like he's lost a massive chunk of time against the race-leading quartet. Downhill comes Jose Villa. He's hanging on in there. Is he going to get mugged right at the very end? Trouble for Alvarez is he just can't really make the progress. A bit like against Hahn in the earlier race. He's looking strong. He's looking as though he's got the pace, but he can't find a way by. And that means that he's being caught all the while by Lentz, who is bringing with him, of course, now Norbert Kish. Now that we've got the track limit warning coming for 22, which is Lucas Hahn. So Lucas Hahn being warned about track limits in his quest to get back onto terms with the opposition. There's the leading 4. Look, there's another minute or so of the time to squeeze out. So they'll get 1 more lap plus the regulation lap in at the end, and it's a 4-way fight for honours. Villa leads over the line. Alvarez second. MAN leads Mercedes. MAN third, MAN 4th. Lentz ahead of Kish. Down they dive into turn 1. Norby Kish has a look to the inside line there. But is he going to be able to find a way by? Not there, he's not. What about Alvarez on Villa? He also is running out of options. Tickles the tail of the leading rig. Almost unsettles it enough to be able to dive up alongside. Kish is on the attack, though. Trying to find a way past Lentz. But look at Lentz now. He is the driver attacking Alvarez on the outside line. Dropping downhill into turn 2. Lentz has got to be careful here, because if he leaves the door open, that's going to give a chance for Kish to challenge. Into turn 4 now. a run uphill. But suddenly, look, that battle for second, third, fourth places has enabled Villa to get a little bit of a gap, and that's exactly what he needed. Third and fourth run together. But can Villa consolidate the advantage then? There'll be one more lap to run at the end of this, that regulation lap as it were. Through they turn. Norbert Kish then on the attack relative to Lentz. Great battle that we've had. You see the replay of it with Kish doing his level best to unsettle Lentz, but to no avail. Sasha Lentz being able to hang on to position. So Jose Villa still leads the way. Norbert Kish in fourth place. And you've got to say for the championship, it's looking really interesting because Manuel Alvarez has been so consistent. He took third, he's running second, whereas Kish with a win and a fourth. It's going to be interesting to see how it pans out on points, isn't it? So they'll be starting the final lap this time around. There's a warning for Lentz for contact against Kish. So race control issuing a warning for Sasha Lentz. There's going to be one more lap to run. Here they come then. The leaders out of turn 16. They're heading up now towards the timing line. Villa has done a great job of maintaining the advantage, but can he hang on in there for one more lap? Through they will come. Villa up front. Second, Alvarez. They come across the line. On to the last lap they go now. Down towards turn one. Kish to the inside of Lentz. Has he done it? Let's see. Not quite. Sasha Lentz fends him off them. Half a second between the top two as they dive down into the turn one right-hander. And they've paired off a little bit. The two Spaniards then up front battling for race honours. Lentz and Kish fighting for third place behind. Downhill they turn once more, but can Jose Villa take a victory of victories here? Debut in the championship, what a way to start your career in the series. It's going to be Norbert Kish, I would offer you, who still comes out on top with the advantage, but it's going to be a modest one over Alvarez at the end of the evening, but he might yet throw all that up into the air and gain another place at the expense of Lentz. Through they come. Alvarez has not given up in his quest to get past Jose Villa, that is for sure. Kish is all over Sasha Lentz like a cheap suit as they go now out of turns 10 and 11, and half a lap remains here. So Jose Villa it is, up front, leading the way, but can he hang on in there? The clock ticks on down, the corners tick on down, we're on the last lap. It's the regulation lap tacked on at the end, and they're the leading quartet with a rather distant fifth, now being Lucas Hahn. This is turn 14. Jose Villa it is that leads the way. Manuel Alvarez is second, Lentz is third. Kish runs fourth then into turn 15. And it's still Villa. He's done everything absolutely right. An absolutely outstanding drive this has been. He powers his way uphill. Alvarez has tried and tried and tried. Perhaps not quite as toey as he was against Hahn, but he's still stuck there behind him as up they come. Checkered flag at the ready. Jose Villa is going to win. He's sideways in celebration. Jose Villa will win race 2 in the ETRC Digital Racing Challenge. Second is Manuel Alvarez. Sasha Lentz takes third, and Norbert Kish comes home for fourth place. Drama all the way through. Great racing, and what a win for Jose Villa. A margin of 0.4 of a second. Lucas Hahn takes fifth. Jonathan Andre will come through for sixth. And then we have to wait because it's a long wait for seventh. It should be Antonio Alberthetti for seventh place, but he's got Teo Calve chasing him. Alberthetti is seventh indeed. Calve is eighth. What about ninth and 10th? Ninth goes the way of Bjorn Tiehaus, and 10th to Henry Tiehaus. After that, 11th place should be Ivan Rodriguez. Comes through, and there's some shuffling going on the last lap because we've got Pedro Marco, by the look of it, getting himself up past Lucas Rival. So we wait for them to come to the checkered flag. Great celebration, tail wagging going on from the likes of Hahn and Lentz on their run back to the pit lane. Pedro Marco does indeed take 12th place. And has Lucas Rival had an off because he suddenly lost a place and he's not yet got himself to the checkered flag. So Lucas Rival is on his way, but somewhat distant. So actually, up to 13th in the end goes Marco Klingelhoefer. There he is. 14th is Lucas Rival. And to round out the order is Ferry Van Drunen in the Scania. So everybody comes through. Got all of them there in order. The 15 starters all made it to the end, which is great news. So a win and a spectacular drive too for the Spanish driver Jose Villa. Second goes the way of Manuel Alvarez, and third to Sasha Lentz. Villa from the second row, Alvarez and Lentz from row 3. Now, of course, any dramas that Race Control might want to have a look at will affect things, but just to confirm the way they came across the line, the provisional results of race 2 of the ETRC Digital Racing Challenge. Jose Villa, the winner in the MAN, ahead of the Mercedes-Benz Actros of Manuel Alvarez. Sasha Lentz, third, ahead of Norbert Kish, and then Lucas Hahn coming through behind him. Jonathan Andre, 6th, ahead of Antonio Alberthetti. Theo Calve, 8th. Bjorn Teihaus, 9th, ahead of his brother Henry. Ivan Rodriguez for 11th. Pedro Marco, 12th from Marco Klingelhoefer. Lucas Rival, and to round out the 15, Ferry Van Drunen with the Scania race truck. So lively action all the way through, as we rather expected. And excellent drive. Jose Villa, Manuel Alvarez, Sasha Lentz, Spain, Germany. The top 3 in race 2 of the ETRC Digital Racing Challenge here from the Hungaroring. So Sasha Lentz third, Manuel Alvarez second, and our race winner after a really, really good drive, no question about it, for Jose Villa. And we'll see if we can get any of those drivers into the English stream, just to have a quick word with before we go off air. Reminder that the next round is going to be in a couple of weeks' time. The 7th of February, we will head to the Nürburgring. And then we go to Le Mans and to Jarama. Now, we will congratulate Jose Villa and Manuel Alvarez, our non-English speaking top 2. But we'll try and have a word, if we can, with Sasha Lentz, who took 3rd place. Sasha, whose English improves all the time, is in the waiting room, so he might come and have a quick word with us. Failing that, we'll have a quick word with Norbert Kish. So we'll see who we get in a moment or two. As I say, the next stop for us will be the Nürburgring in a couple of weeks' time. Right, let's have a very quick word with Sasha Lentz. 3rd in that race, Sasha. Good drive, tough race.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was not so easy to race. The trucks are really different from last year, but I'm really happy. Yeah, position 3. We have a good race. I cannot faster. On the front was the 2 guys, but for the overtaking, I'm too slow in this moment. And the last 2 laps or 3 laps, I see Nobby on behind me, and I hope I make no mistake and I have the 3 position after the race.
And this season we have more trucks in the races and we have more good drivers. It's going to be a really tough championship, isn't it?
Yeah, I hope so. It's really nice that we have more drivers, then we have more trucks on the circuit, and yeah, the races are very nice then when we have more trucks. Huh?
For sure. Great racing to watch, and glad you had some good fun out there. Sasha, well done.
Thank you very much.
Sasha Lentz then takes 3rd place. Our congratulations to Sasha. And here's a sentence I've not had to use very often in these ETRC digital races. Only 4th, Norbert Kish. But that's where Norbert ends race 2. Tough to get through the traffic, Norby.
Oh yeah, really difficult. I mean, 4th position is not so bad considering everything that happened in the first lap, you know, because
sure.
Yeah, it was difficult. I had a little bit of I tried to be careful But then behind me, everybody tried to overtake real aggressive, and then I got some hits and fall a little bit behind from Sasha and the guys in the front. And by the time I catch them up in the last couple until the last couple of laps, I haven't really had enough chance to try overtake or something.
When you have those little incidents on the first lap, does a digital platform like this bring damage into what you're feeling, or is it mainly to do with losing time and tyre wear as well?
Yeah, I think there is some damage, but not really significant. So
okay.
that's not a problem. The bigger problem is losing time. That's
sure.
the biggest problem. And then the next one is the tire. Yeah, because like all my tires were glowing red, on the tire display in the simulator. So yeah, I had a lot of understeer in the second half of the race. So yeah, it was difficult. But you see, it's much more close. It's just like the real one. You can't really win the reverse grid race in the real one as well. And now here as well, it's nice. I liked it.
Yeah, no, it's great to watch, and it looked so good as well, doesn't it? I mean, I know we had this last year, but there are moments where, from the outside, you forget you're looking at virtual pictures because everything is so realistic.
Yeah, actually, I have to agree on that because also the feeling on the inside is very nice and feels very realistic. So I really suggest everyone to download the mod and try it. It's really nice.
Fantastic. Next stop, the Nürburgring. We'll see you there. Norbert Kiss, thanks very much.
Thank you. See you there.
See you there. So Norbert Kiss wins one race and Jose Villa wins the second here at the Hungaroring. And as I say, the next stop for the championship is going to be the Nürburgring. The 7th of February we go there. Le Mans on the 21st of Feb. Jarama on March the 7th. And then on the 28th of March, the grand final, where we take the best 10 sim racers, because there's a sim-only championship, and the top 10 real-world drivers, piece them together, and let's see who comes out on top. Is it truck racing that will count for success, or is it that sim racing ability to not have to worry about the field through your backside and totally be absorbed in the sim world, the sim facility that you have? It's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top. But for now, it is congratulations to Norbert Kiss and to Jose Villa as our victors from the Hungaroring races. And certainly the way that Jose Villa and also Manuel Alvarez have gone this evening certainly suggests that we are in for quite a long list of front runners this year. Last year we got rather used to it being Norbert Kiss and Sasha Lentz, and on occasions Theo Calve, but straight away that front-running list of names has grown, hasn't it? With the two Spanish drivers up there, added to Norbert Kiss, to Sasha Lentz, to Lucas Hahn, and of course to Norbert Kiss as well. So there's a lot to look forward to, I think, for the rest of the championship. Championship points based on the top 10. So Norbert Kiss is going to leave here, I think, with a pretty modest advantage. But the opposition will come from Manuel Alvarez, and we'll confirm exactly what the championship standings are like. If you keep an eye to the FIA ETRC championship website, have a look for the esports section there. That will bring you all the news, updates on the championship, and we will look forward to what goes on for that next race on the 7th of February at the Nürburgring. The way that tonight has gone suggests it's going to be an all-action season. 7th of Feb can't come soon enough. Race winners Norbert Kiss and Jose Villa will do battle again on February the 7th, and we look forward to your company then. For now, from a virtual Hungaroring, it's goodbye.
The show is on. Start your engines.